Hello again. Here I am, willing and able to seek to impart some of the truths of life as much as I have been able to understand them in my continuing series for you on the facts about life. Today, I'm going to talk again on Marxist social philosophy a bit and on the truly evil falsehoods that are contained in that doctrine and belief system. And then I'm going to speak on the importance of moral rectitude in your life and in the life of society, and talk about authority. What should we recognize as an authority? Authority over us to tell us, help us, to guide us. And finally, I'm going to end a little bit about religion and churches and government and the roles and the interface that the two may best have to serve us all, and to help maintain peace and prosperity in our country. History tells us that humans are easily corrupted, that human appetites need restraint, and that the combined forces of custom, authority, law and governance, as well as, most importantly, an inner moral discipline. These are required if we are to keep humankind's inherent evil tendencies in check. Marxist philosophy, on the other hand, being grounded in atheism and narcissistic nihilism, denies the very existence of God or evil. Marxism and its offshoots of socialism and communism are truly evil because they are based on falsehoods and lies, and they lead to all manner of oppression. Today, so it seems to me, America presents us with the spectacle of a nation corrupted by Marxist social philosophy, a nation that is tormented by crime, urban vice, political corruption, and, most sadly, family decay and moral degradation. Still, amid this evidence of decay, a chorus of liberal academic sociologists, psychologists, and spiritual morons in New Age pulpits proclaim that sin does not exist, and that their progressive social adjustments will cure virtually every social ill and inequality. Well, this conservative has heard more than my fill of the liberal definitions of equality and diversity and now equity and the rights their equalities and diversities demand. It is high time to hear something in our political discourse about the moral obligations that are demanded of civilized people. Obedience to moral rectitude and submission to the will of God as we are best able to perceive it is the secret of justice in society and tranquility in life. democracy, more than any other form of government, rests upon the postulates of moral law, which are ordained by an authority superior to human wisdom. The modern progressive belief system is in direct denial of this practical and absolute truth. Instead, it asserts the universal and absolute supremacy of the human as the greatest and highest expression in all of existence. Liberal Marxist socialist dogma, which is the enemy of democracy, adopts as its unrestricted right the ability to subject religion, morals, and politics to its will and caprice. We must not allow that philosophy to flourish in America. We must defeat it. Goodwill alone is not enough to safeguard freedom and ensure justice for all. What is needed is an admiration for higher-minded ways of living and a genuine respect for the natural authority of our wisdom traditions. This sort of admiration and respect naturally creates in us genuine respect for the authority of law. We come to the understanding and knowledge that laws are indispensable to our freedoms and that they are the guarantors of our God-given equalities. The surest pathway to accepting this truth as a necessity for health, truly the health of any civilization, comes from the recognition and acceptance of the sovereignty of God Almighty and the hierarchy of being established by God's order, from the highest archangels to the lowest forms of life. Far from corrupting or repressing liberty, as the avowed liberal is so wont to exclaim, this acceptance of the absolute authority of God both establishes and guarantees the freedoms of free will choice and freedoms of association and freedoms of speech, our great, great rights, God-given rights, outlined for us in our Constitution and our Bill of Rights. The authority of God is not the antagonist of liberty, it is its supporter and vindicator. Churches, congregations of people looking to serve God and to know our relationship with God, to know the truths about religious life. Well, churches devoted to the spiritual and moral improvement of their flocks, which should be their highest calling, Well, churches of this order will have little desire to meddle in the affairs of government. They will instead encourage their flock to obey the 10 Commandments, to look for succor in their lives from God's law of virtue, and to trust in God's ultimate justice to right all wrongs. All good preachers committed to steering their flock away from sinful behaviors will also instruct and sermonize on the God-given moral laws which all good people and all just governments must obey. The fortress of orthodox religious belief supports the good and supports the moral and supports the ethical in government. Civilization depends on the admonitions against sin given to us in religious orthodoxy. Without these admonitions, human sin and foible would know no limits. Sin remains a constant part of life here on earth. When limits on sinful behavior are removed, order and justice perish. Civilization needs moral, religious belief and the constant check it maintains on sin and evil behavior. Well, that's it for today. Let's make a commitment to be, or recommit ourselves really. I know that you all want to be good and moral people and are good and moral people, subject to the frailties of human life, as I am, as we all have been, and will continue to be. It's part of the human condition, no doubt about that. We face it every single day with our sense of ourself being assaulted many times by the emotions and thoughts that come from our lower animal nature. So let's be moral. Let's be virtuous and enjoy the joys and benefits of those kinds of behaviors, all the great dignity and honor, indeed nobility, that comes to us when we engage our lives that way. Well, that's it for today. But there's always tomorrow, isn't there? Goodbye. I love you all.